You know what's funny, David? They only invite you because they feel sorry for me. If I wasn't dragging you along, you'd just be some forgettable guy standing in a corner. I set my keys on the counter, looked at her, really looked at her. The sequin top she wore to Rachel's barbecue, the wine flush still on her cheeks, the absolute certainty in her eyes that she just stated a fact like gravity or taxes. I smiled. Not a real smile. The kind you give a mechanic who just quoted you 3 grand for a brake job. Great, I said. Good to know, 3 words. That's all I gave her. And 6 weeks later, Jessica was standing in the middle of Rachel's backyard, surrounded by people who could barely look at her, learning the hardest lesson of her life. Sometimes the person you think is invisible is the only reason anyone can see you at all. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name's David Mercer. 32, structural engineer at a mid-size firm in Charlotte, and until about 2 months ago, engaged to a woman named Jessica Holloway. If you'd asked me a year ago to describe my life, I would have said comfortable, stable, not the stuff of movies, but the stuff of a good Tuesday night. Solid job, a condo that smelled like whatever candle Jessica had burning that week, and a friend group that gathered almost every weekend at Rachel Walsh's place. Barbecues in summer, football Sundays in fall, the occasional birthday bash where someone always ended up in the pool fully clothed. I was the guy who manned the grill at those parties, not because anyone asked, because I liked it. There's something meditative about standing over charcoal, timing the sear on a ribeye. While everyone else was doing shots and arguing about fantasy football, I'd be out there with my tongs and my beer, making sure nobody went home hungry. I also mixed drinks. Solid pours. Old fashions for the bourbon guys, ranch waters for the girls. Picked it up from YouTube one winter when Jessica was binge-watching reality TV and I needed something to do with my hands. And I listened. That was the thing people don't realize about being the quiet one. You become everyone's therapist. Jake Collins would corner me by the cooler and talk about his custody battle. Rachel would vent about her sister's latest disaster. Mike Dawson once spent 45 minutes telling me about his fear of becoming his father, and I just stood there, nodding, handing him another beer when his voice cracked. I didn't mind any of it. I'm not wired for center stage. Never have been. Some guys need the spotlight. I need the grill, a decent playlist, and the knowledge that everyone's having a good time. Jessica was the opposite, and honestly, that's what drew me to her. We met at a housewarming 3 years ago. She walked in wearing this red sundress, laughing at something before she even got through the door, and the entire room shifted toward her like sunflowers tracking light. Magnetic. The kind of person who could talk to a stranger for 5 minutes and make them feel like they'd known her forever. I was refilling the chip bowl. She grabbed a handful, winked at me, and said, "Finally, someone useful at this party." I should have paid more attention to the word useful. The first year was a highlight reel. She called me her anchor, her safe place. We'd cook dinner on weeknights. Well, I'd cook. She'd sit on the counter stealing pieces of bell pepper before they hit the pan. She'd fall asleep on my chest during movies and murmur, "Don't ever leave," into my collarbone. I proposed after 14 months. Botanical garden. Down on one knee. She cried, I cried. The old couple on the bench nearby clapped. Textbook. Then things shifted. Slowly, like a faucet you don't notice dripping until the water bill comes. I remember one night, February, Charlotte getting that cold rain that makes the whole city feel like a dishwasher. Jessica had a work presentation the next morning, stressing for a week. I stayed up until 2 a.m. running through her slides, timing her delivery, giving notes. She nailed it. Standing ovation from her team lead, called me from the office buzzing. "David, it went so well. My boss said it was the best pitch all quarter." "That's amazing, Jess, you crushed it." "I know, right? We're all going out to celebrate, don't wait up." Came home at 1 a.m. Didn't mention my help once, not that night, not ever. Hindsight is 20/20, right? Her mother stayed with us 3 weeks after knee surgery. I gave up my office, slept on an air mattress, drove her mom to physical therapy twice a week. Low-sodium meals, no dairy, extra garlic. When her mom left, she hugged Jessica at the door and said, "You take such good care of me, sweetheart." Jessica just smiled, didn't correct her. Then there was the promotion. My firm offered me project lead in Raleigh. Better pay, better title, better trajectory. Jessica wasn't ready to leave Charlotte. Her friends, her salon, her yoga studio, so I turned it down. My boss gave me this look, the look a man gives another man when he knows the real reason but respects him too much to say it. Your call, Mercer, but that door won't stay open forever. Filed that under sacrifices you make for the person you love and moved on. See, that's the thing about being the provider. You don't keep score because keeping score feels petty. But the universe keeps score for you, and eventually it presents the bill. The friend group was 8 people, give or take. Rachel Walsh was the hub. Her craftsman bungalow in Dilworth with the big backyard, the fire pit, and a golden retriever named Brisket who'd been to more barbecues than most people. Rachel and I had this easy rapport. Not romantic, structural. She'd plan events, I'd execute details. She'd buy the meat, I'd season and grill it. We were co-producers of a weekly show nobody knew had a production team. The dynamic was this: Jessica was the loudest, I was the quietest. Somewhere in between, everyone else had a good time. Jessica's behavior didn't just show at home. It crept into the social fabric. She started introducing me to new people as my fiancé David with this tone, like presenting a household appliance. This is my fiancé David. He's very reliable. One night at Rachel's, I was behind the grill and overheard Jessica by the fire pit. David's sweet, but he's just so vanilla, like he'd rather grill burgers than go skydiving. It's like asking a golden retriever to be a wolf. The girls laughed politely. The uncomfortable kind. I flipped a burger, took a sip of my beer. Golden retriever. Okay. At Mike's birthday, Jessica held court for 20 minutes telling how she basically planned our engagement trip to Savannah. The restaurants, the hotel, the walking tour. I'd planned every single detail. Researched for 2 weeks. Called the hotel to request a specific room. Booked the ghost tour because she'd mentioned it once in passing. But there she was, performing the story of my effort as her achievement. And I was the guy quietly cutting lime wedges at the drink station. The gaslighting started about 4 months before everything blew up. You're so clingy, David. Can't I have one night out without you texting me? I'd sent one text at 11 p.m., asking if she wanted the porch light on. You're too predictable. I know exactly what you're going to say before you say it. That's not a compliment. Don't you think it's sad that your whole personality is grilling meat and being nice? Where's the edge? Every comment was a small cut. And small cuts don't bleed much, but they add up. One morning I caught my reflection and the guy looking back had this expression I didn't recognize. Tired, not physically, somewhere deeper, but I kept showing up, kept grilling, kept mixing drinks. Kept listening to everyone's problems while mine piled up like unread emails. Because that's what David Mercer does, until he doesn't. The night that broke everything was a Saturday in April. Rachel's spring barbecue, annual tradition. I'd been there since 2 p.m., assembled the extra table, ran to the store for ice, seasoned the ribs, brown sugar, smoked paprika, cayenne, a little espresso powder. I manned the grill 4 hours straight. Ribs, chicken thighs, cast iron of a Lot-style corn that Mike called life-changing 3 separate times. Made a watermelon agua fresca Rachel's neighbor kept begging the recipe for. Jessica arrived 2 hours late. Some brunch that ran long. White jumpsuit, gold earrings. Positioned herself at the center of the patio furniture. For 3 hours she held court. Her spin class. A coworker obsessed with her. A restaurant so exclusive they don't even have a sign. Nobody asked about any of it. She just broadcast. I watched from the grill. Watched Rachel's jaw tighten. Watched Mike's wife excuse herself during minute 12 of Jessica's fitness monologue. Watched the energy deflate like a pool float in October. We drove home at 11. Jessica buzzing about how everyone was so into her stories. Then in the kitchen, still holding her shoes, she turned to me with that look. Eyes half-lidded, chin tilted up. You know what, David? They only invite you because they feel sorry for me. If I wasn't there to carry you socially, you'd just be some forgettable guy. You'd be furniture. The kitchen was quiet except for the refrigerator humming. I could smell charcoal on my shirt, feel the ache in my lower back from 4 hours over a grill. Something in my chest didn't break. It solidified, like liquid cooling into glass. Clear, hard, done, great, good to know, she blinked, waited for the argument, the hurt look she could swat away with "don't be so sensitive." None of it came. I walked to the bedroom, changed into sweats, got into bed. She stood in the kitchen doorway for a full minute, shoes dangling from her fingers, waiting for a reaction that had already come and gone. She just didn't recognize it. Sunday morning. Jessica slept until noon. I was up at 7, coffee, balcony, watched the city wake up. I replayed her words exactly once, filed them away. When she emerged, yawning, she acted like nothing happened. Her protocol, devastate at night, reset by morning. Babe, can you make those blueberry pancakes? Heading out, work stuff. On a Sunday, deadline. No deadline. But the decision needed space. I drove to a coffee shop, corner booth. Black coffee, notebook, 2 columns, everything I brought to this relationship, everything I got back. First column filled a page. Second column had 3 items, and one of them was consistent access to her Netflix password. I closed the notebook. Over the next 2 weeks, I implemented a quiet withdrawal. No announcement, no drama, just systematic reduction of service. Rachel's Friday hangout. Work dinner, Mike's wife's birthday. Project deadline, Saturday cookout. Coming down with something, every excuse boring, plausible, unchallengeable. Jessica was annoyed, then frustrated, then shrugged. Fine, I'll go by myself, not like you add much anyway. Have fun, I said, not looking up from my laptop. She didn't catch the trap she'd walked into. She was about to test her own theory in real time. The first party without me, Jessica came home quieter than usual. No stories, no details, clipped fine when I asked. Interesting. The second party was the big one, Rachel's monthly blowout. Jessica spent an hour getting ready. New dress, heels for a backyard party. Wish me luck. Good luck, I said, and meant it. She was going to need it. I knew what would happen because I understood something Jessica never did. I wasn't invisible at those parties. I was infrastructure. When was the last time you thought about the foundation of your house? You don't. You notice the paint, the furniture, the art. But remove the foundation and the whole thing collapses. Without me, no one grilled properly. Rachel could handle basics, but she didn't know my timing. Mike Dawson couldn't grill a Pop-Tart. Without me, the bar was a collection of bottles nobody knew how to combine. Without me, there was no one absorbing Jessica's energy. At every gathering, someone manages the difficult personality, listens to the monologues, redirects conversations when they go off the rails. I was Jessica's handler. Nobody knew it until the handler was gone. I stayed home, ordered Thai. Watched a documentary about deep-sea welding, most peaceful afternoon in months. Jessica came home early, way early. Barbecue was supposed to run late, but she walked in at 4:30, face like someone told her spin class was canceled forever, went straight to the bedroom. Shower ran for a long time. Over the next days, information trickled in, from the group chat, from Mike, who had the subtlety of a car alarm. Mike, bro. Barbecue was rough. Nobody could work the grill. Chicken still pink inside. We ordered pizza at a barbecue. Pizza. Me, brutal, Mike. And without you keeping things chill, it was just Jessica the whole time. Spin class story again. Restaurant with no sign story again. Then she got into it with Jake's girlfriend about something nobody understood. Rachel had to separate them. Mike, when are you coming back, man? We need you. I didn't reply to that last one. Here's what happened at that barbecue, pieced together over the following week. Jessica arrived solo, confident, heels on Rachel's patio stones, expected the usual orbit of attention. The vibe was off from the jump. Without me on the grill, the food was chaos. Ribs went on too late. Chicken came off too early. Someone put corn directly on the flame. Charcoal. More importantly, without me buffering Jessica's personality, it hit the group at full volume. She launched into stories. Smiles became nods. Nods became phone checks. She tried harder, talked louder. Someone mentioned their kid's school play. Jessica turned it into a story about her childhood ballet recital. People left early. Gotta get the sitter. Early morning. Dog needs walking. By 4 o'clock, a handful remained. That's when Rachel made her move. Rachel Walsh, 5'3", grew up in South Boston with 3 older brothers and 0 patience for nonsense. When Rachel has something to say, she says it like a surgeon uses a scalpel. She waited until the stragglers went inside, pulled Jessica to the far corner under the crepe myrtle that was starting to bloom. "Jess, can we talk?" Jessica was already defensive. The party hadn't followed her script and Jessica Holloway did not handle deviations. "Sure, what's up?" Rachel's face went flat, party host warmth gone. "Where's David?" Jessica rolled her eyes. "Working again, you know how he is." "Funny, David told Mike he's been free every weekend this month." Jessica's smile flickered, candle in a draft. "I need to tell you something and I need you to hear it." Rachel stepped closer. Voice dropped. "Not for gentleness, for precision. We invite you to these things because of David. He's the one we want here. He grills, he mixes drinks, he talks to everyone. He remembers their kids' names, their allergies, their problems. He's the glue. He's been the glue for 2 years. Jessica went still. The way a screen freezes before it crashes. "Without David here to smooth everything over, here's what you actually bring: stories about yourself. Complaints, demands. You talk over people. You make everything about you. You showed up 2 hours late last time and didn't notice he'd been here since 2, setting everything up." "Rachel, that's not. I'm not done." Quiet, surgical. "Without David absorbing your noise, you're exhausting, genuinely difficult to be around. Every person who left early today because of you." Crepe myrtle petals drifted down between them. Soft pink rain. All the color drained from Jessica's face. Foundation, blush, the warm flush she'd carried in like armor, gone. "You told David he was only invited because of you?" Rachel shook her head. "That's the most delusional thing I've ever heard. The forgettable one, the one we tolerate out of politeness. That's you, Jess. It's been you this whole time." Jessica opened her mouth, closed it. "Nothing. Fix this," Rachel said, "if you can. Because the man everyone wants at the table is home alone wondering if he matters. And the person nobody asked for is standing in my backyard in heels wondering why nobody's paying attention to her." Rachel walked away. Left Jessica under the crepe myrtle with pink petals falling around her like confetti at a funeral. Here's what Jessica didn't know. While she was standing in Rachel's backyard learning her throne was made of paper, I was at the condo. Packing, not frantically, methodically, 2 weeks of planning. The decision came first. Details followed with the efficiency of a man who builds structures for a living. Measure twice, cut once, build to code, closet first. My clothes into suitcases, hanging garments, shoes, her side untouched, bathroom, razor, toothbrush. Left the cologne she'd bought me, hers to give, not mine to keep. Office took longest. Laptop, engineering references, framed PE license, photos into a box. I didn't linger on them. Documentation of a concluded project. 3 hours total, clinical, unhurried, like packing up a satellite office corporate decided to close. The last thing was the ring. Princess cut. 1.2 carats, saved for 5 months. I set it on the kitchen counter. Same granite where I'd placed my keys the night she called me furniture. Next to it a note. I'd considered long letters, explanations, rejected all of them. The note said, "You're right, I was only there because of you. Now I'm not there at all. I hope your next audience appreciates the show." I picked up my bags. One last look at the condo. Vanilla candle on the coffee table. Throw pillows arranged that morning. Kitchen where I'd cooked 1,000 meals she'd taken 2 bites of. Closed the door. The lock clicked with a sound that felt like punctuation. I don't know exactly when Jessica left Rachel's. Rachel told me later she grabbed her purse and left without a word. Heels clicking fast on pavement, almost running. I imagined the drive home, the mascara, the key in the lock, the silence hitting first. Then the emptiness. Closet door open. My side bare, hangers swinging slightly. Bathroom half cleared, office stripped, and the ring on the counter. A small brilliant period at the end of a sentence she didn't know I'd been writing. She called 47 times that night. I counted the next morning from my blocked caller log. 47 calls, 14 voicemails, 11 texts from her phone, then more from numbers I didn't recognize. I never listened to the voicemails. Never read the texts. My buddy Tommy checked the log and shook his head. Goes from "please talk to me" to "you're a monster" in about 3 hours. Classic. I didn't need details. Grief has stages, so does narcissistic injury. The weeks after were quiet, not the silence of something missing. The silence of something unnecessary finally removed. Crashed at Tommy's guest room for a week. Found a one-bedroom in Noda. Small. Clean. Good light. Balcony overlooking a brewery's patio. Fell asleep to the sound of strangers laughing, and none of them needed anything from me. Mornings at the gym. Nothing dramatic. Weights and a podcast. Evenings cooking for one, which turned out to be wildly efficient. You know how much easier it is when nobody's critiquing the menu. Bought a smoker. 14-hour briskets on Saturdays. The old lady next door started showing up with a plate whenever she smelled smoke. She called me the meat angel, which I chose to take as a compliment. Reconnected with friends I'd neglected. College guys, engineering buddies. People I'd dropped because Jessica always needed me on weekends. And the Raleigh position. My boss had filled the original, but a similar one opened. Better, actually. Senior project lead. 15% raise. I took it. For the first time in years, my thoughts weren't about managing someone else's emotions. The reports on Jessica came like dispatches from a front I'd already evacuated. Mike, Jess tried to come to Rachel's thing. Rachel told her there wasn't room, 15 people there. Rachel, over text, your ex called crying, told her the group works better without her. She hung up. Mutual friend Andrea, Jess quit her job. Something about a toxic boss, freelancing, doesn't seem to be going well. The reconciliation attempts came in waves. Wave 1, texts from unknown numbers. David, please, we need to talk. Blocked as they came, like clearing spam. Wave 2, friends as messengers. Andrea, she's really struggling. Can you at least hear her out? I replied. I appreciate you, but it's over. I hope she finds what she needs. Block. Wave 3, her mother. Voicemail, trembling voice. David, honey, she loves you. Be the bigger person. I called back, brief. Mrs. Holloway, I respect you, but your daughter told me I was invisible and I believed her. Removed myself. That's not something I can undo. She started to argue. I said goodbye. Ended the call. Wave 4, Jessica, at my office. Tuesday afternoon. Coming out of a meeting, there she was in the lobby. Thinner. Dark circles under concealer that wasn't the right shade. David, 5 minutes. Jess, I don't have 5 minutes for you. We said everything that needed to be said. I never said. You said I was furniture, forgettable, that they only invited me because of you. Pause. Turns out it was the other way around. Now you know. Her eyes filled. Her lip trembled. For a moment she looked like the girl in the red sundress who grabbed a handful of chips and winked at me. But I'd learned the difference between who someone shows you and who they are. Please leave. This is my workplace. Security walked her out, heels clicking on lobby tile. Didn't look back. 6 weeks after I moved out, Rachel threw a cookout. My official welcome back. I showed up with marinated skirt steak and a new dry rub. Espresso and ancho chili, dark brown sugar. Tommy called it the rub that healed a nation. Mike handed me a beer before I set the cooler down. Rachel squeezed my arm. Welcome back, the grill missed you. Just the grill? Don't push it, Mercer. I fired up the charcoal, put on my playlist. Khruangbin and Taro Why Moi, deep cuts nobody complained about and everyone vibed to. I grilled, mixed drinks. Listened to Jake talk about custody, finally getting better. Listened to Mike's wife talk about pottery, terrible at it but loving every minute. Handed Rachel a ranch water and she clinked her glass against mine without a word. Peace. The functional, unspectacular piece of being where you belong. Around 8, sun going down, fire pit going, brisket asleep on my shoe. Rachel sat next to me. You good? Yeah, really good. She tried to come tonight. Figured. Told her the list was full. She asked who was on it. I said David Mercer. She hung up. I watched the fire, sparks drifting up. I don't hate her, I said, and meant it. Hate requires energy I'd redirected. Just don't have room anymore. Rachel nodded. Healthiest thing I've ever heard you say. Been watching therapy TikToks, she laughed. A real one. I leaned back, charcoal on my shirt. That ache in my lower back. The sounds of everyone laughing, arguing about how many hot wings Mike could eat, filling the backyard like music. Same position, same grill, same party, but the invisible man was gone. In his place was just a man, present, unhurried, enough. Jessica spent 2 years telling me I was the forgettable one, the furniture. and I believed it the way you believe anything if you hear it enough. But furniture doesn't leave, doesn't take the food and the music and the foundation with it, doesn't leave a hole shaped like a barbecue in the center of your whole social life. I wasn't invisible, I was essential. The only person who couldn't see that was the one who needed me most. The fire crackled, brisket sighed. Someone put on Bill Withers and the whole backyard started swaying. I took a sip of my drink, closed my eyes. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And for the first time in years, so was everyone else.
My girlfriend hooked up with her best friend's husband on their wedding day. So, I blew up their lives. I'm a 28-year-old male. I met my girlfriend, Lisa, 26, at a pub trivia night. She joined my team since she didn't have one, and I was immediately impressed by her knowledge. Being a trivia buff myself, I found her fascinating. We hit it off that night and started dating soon after. At the time, I was working on my master's degree while Lisa had recently quit her teaching job to pursue a career as a social media influencer, focusing on trivia and educational content. I fully supported her ambition. We need more women creating educational content online, and her passion for knowledge was one of the things that drew me to her. Through Lisa, I met her high school best friend May and May's longtime boyfriend Tom. They were the quintessential high school sweethearts, stayed together through college despite attending schools on opposite coasts, and eventually settled down in the same city. When Lisa excitedly told me about their engagement, I was genuinely happy for them. While everyone's love story is different, there was something special about finding your person so early in life and making it work through all the challenges. Their wedding was beautiful, if a bit rowdy thanks to May's extended family, many of whom were part of a motorcycle club. Though intimidating at first glance, they were actually great people once you got to know them. The ceremony was moving. May and Tom seemed so in love and perfect for each other. Things took a dark turn when I noticed Lisa and Tom having what appeared to be an intense private conversation during the reception. May was elsewhere chatting with friends, but the serious expressions on both their faces seemed wildly inappropriate for what should have been a joyous celebration. Something felt off, but I tried to give Lisa the benefit of the doubt. That evening back in our hotel room, I asked Lisa about the conversation. She brushed it off at first, claiming it was nothing. When I pressed further, she said Tom was just having typical wedding day jitters, and she was helping calm him down since they'd known each other so long. The explanation seemed plausible enough, but something still nagged at me. Why wasn't one of his groomsmen giving him the pep talk? And why did it look more like an argument than reassurance? My suspicions grew as I noticed Lisa constantly messaging someone on her phone throughout the night, her expression turning serious each time she checked it. While I wasn't immediately thinking cheating, I felt certain she was hiding something from me. Maybe Tom had confided something personal she promised to keep secret? I needed to know. I'm not proud of it, but I checked her phone while she slept that night. I'd done it twice before when my gut told me something was wrong, but those times had turned up nothing concerning and actually increased my trust in her. This time was different. The message thread with Tom revealed that earlier that day, when Lisa told me she was going to get ready with the bridesmaids, she had actually gone to Tom's room. Their evening messages painted a devastating picture. Lisa, as long as you keep your mouth shut, we'll both be fine, Tom. Trust me, I'm not saying anything. I have way more to lose right now, Lisa. This was the only chance we'd ever have, Tom. I know. Something about you being forbidden made it irresistible. But it was wrong, Lisa. But you enjoyed it, Tom. That's not the point. You can like something and still know it was a mistake, Lisa. You didn't seem to have a conscience when I was naked in front of you, it went on, with Tom explicitly describing their encounter. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. For years of trust and love shattered in an instant. The physical pain in my chest was overwhelming. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I managed to take screenshots of the messages before leaving the room to walk aimlessly through the night, trying to process what I discovered. Through the fog of betrayal and heartbreak, one thing was crystal clear. I had to end things with Lisa. The relief of discovering her true nature before marriage or kids came into the picture was the only silver lining. But I struggled with what to do about May. She had just married a man who cheated on her literally hours before their wedding. Did she deserve to know? Or would ignorance be kinder? After careful consideration and getting input from others, I realized May had the right to know, regardless of how she chose to handle the information. It wasn't my place to decide whether she'd be better off not knowing. She deserved the truth about both her new husband and her supposed best friend. When we returned home, I confronted Lisa. The moment I said, "I know you slept with Tom," all color drained from her face. She tried to stutter out a response, but quickly realized denial was pointless. I gave her 1 hour to pack her essential belongings and arrange for a ride. Anything left behind would be donated or trashed. I wanted no reminders of her in my home. She sat there crying for several minutes before finally moving to pack. When the hour was up, she and a friend carried out 3 suitcases. That was the last time I saw her in person, though she came by once later begging to talk. I never opened the door. Next came the difficult task of telling May. I called to ensure Tom wasn't around, then gently broke the news. The line went silent for a long time. When she finally spoke, she thanked me profusely for telling her, saying she would always want to know something like this rather than live in ignorance. She was especially hurt by Lisa's betrayal, having been friends since high school. After the wedding incident blew up, several mutual friends reached out with stories that painted a clearer picture. Apparently, Lisa and Tom had a brief fling in high school before he started dating May. Lisa never quite got over him, but she played the supportive best friend role perfectly. One friend even recalled Lisa making comments about how she could have had Tom if she really wanted to after a few drinks at a party years ago. The aftermath of exposure brought out her true colors even more. She tried to paint herself as the victim, claiming I had overreacted to a moment of weakness. She even attempted to rally support from our friend group, spinning a story about how I had been controlling and suspicious, pushing her into Tom's arms. Fortunately, the screenshots I'd taken told the real story. I wasn't done, though. I hired someone to systematically expose Lisa's infidelity in the comments of all her social media posts. When one account got blocked, they'd switch to another. Her followers began discussing it so much that she had to disable comments entirely. Eventually, she stopped posting altogether, quite a change from her usual 5 posts per week schedule. The most satisfying development came courtesy of May's biker relatives. When they learned why her marriage ended mere days after the wedding, they paid Tom a visit and roughed him up a bit. They also tracked down Lisa, and while they didn't hurt her, scared her enough that she fled the state. Being cheated on is awful, but executing the perfect revenge definitely helped me heal. I made sure they faced real consequences for their actions, and I feel much better for it. Sometimes the best medicine for betrayal is making sure the betrayers pay dearly for their choices. Life has a way of teaching us what we need to learn, even if we don't want the lesson. Through this experience, I discovered my own strength, the value of true friends, and the importance of maintaining dignity even while seeking justice. The pain of betrayal never completely disappears, but it does transform into wisdom if you let it. To those facing similar situations, remember that you're not alone, and you don't have to suffer in silence. Stand up for yourself, expose the truth when necessary, and never let anyone convince you that you're wrong for demanding basic respect and honesty in relationships. Sometimes the best endings come from the worst beginnings. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them, so please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.
My girlfriend chose her friend's birthday over being there when I had a serious accident. Now I'm questioning everything. So this happened 2 weeks ago and I'm still processing it. I need some outside perspective because I honestly don't know if I'm overreacting or if this is as messed up as it feels. Some background first so you guys could understand this situation better. My girlfriend Jasmine and I have been together for 2 years. We live together, split bills, the whole 9 yards. I work in tech sales and just got promoted to senior account manager last month, something I'd been grinding toward for over a year. The promotion came with a 40% raise and basically set up my entire career trajectory. The day this all went down started amazing. My boss called me into his office around 3 p.m. and told me I got the promotion. I was over the moon. First thing I did was text Jasmine. "Baby, I got it. The promotion is official. Want to celebrate tonight? How about that steakhouse you love?" Her response was lukewarm. "That's great, babe, but I can't tonight. It's Jessica's birthday party. You knew about this." Here's the thing, I vaguely remembered her mentioning something about Jessica's birthday, but I figured if something this huge happened in my life, she might want to celebrate with me first. Jessica is Jasmine's college friend who she sees maybe 3 or 4 times a year, while this promotion was literally life-changing for us. I tried one more time. "I get that, but this is kind of a big deal. Could you maybe show up late to the party after dinner with me?" Her response hit different. "Don't be selfish, Mike. Friends only have one birthday a year. Your promotion isn't going anywhere. We can celebrate later." That word, selfish, just sat wrong with me. But I didn't want to fight, so I said fine and told her I'd just grab drinks with my coworkers instead. Fast forward to around 9 p.m. I was leaving Murphy's Pub, the place across my office building where my team and I had gone for celebratory drinks. I was texting my buddy Dave, trying to coordinate meeting up later when I stepped into the crosswalk. I never saw the Honda Civic run the red light. Next thing I knew, I was on the pavement with people screaming around me. My left leg felt wrong, really wrong. There was blood on my face and my ribs felt like they were on fire every time I breathed. Someone was already calling 911. The paramedics were great, got me stabilized and to the hospital fast. Turned out I had a fractured tibia and 3 broken ribs. Could have been way worse, but I was looking at surgery and weeks of recovery. Here's where it gets really messed up. I'm in the ER, they've got me on pain meds, but I'm coherent enough to use my phone. The doctor said I was stable but would need surgery in the morning, something about waiting for the orthopedic surgeon and making sure there's no internal bleeding they missed. They wanted to do more scans and have me fast overnight before the operation. All I wanted was to hear Jasmine's voice, to have her there with me. I was scared, alone, and everything hurt. I called her around 11 p.m. "Mike, what's up? I'm at Jessica's party." "Jasmine, I got hit by a car. I'm in the hospital. Can you come?" Silence for like 10 seconds. Then, "What? Are you serious? How bad is it?" "Pretty bad. Broken leg, broken ribs. I need surgery tomorrow." Another pause. I could hear music and laughing in the background. "Well, can it wait till tomorrow morning?" I'm right in the middle of Jessica's thing and everyone's here. It would be weird to leave now. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Jasmine, I got hit by a car. I'm asking you to come to the hospital." "Look, you're obviously fine enough to call me. Just sleep it off or call your mom. We're doing karaoke and I already paid for bottle service. I'll come tomorrow morning, okay?" The line went dead. She hung up on me. I stared at that phone for probably 20 minutes. The nurse came by and asked if I needed her to call anyone else. I ended up calling my mom, who lives 3 states away, and my buddy Dave. Dave dropped everything and was there within an hour. But here's what really got me. Around midnight, Jasmine posted an Instagram story from the party. She's got a drink in her hand, huge smile, with the caption, "Girls' night is everything. Priorities, friends, forever priorities," while I was lying in a hospital bed with a broken leg. The worst part, several of my coworkers had seen the accident happen. It was right outside our building and apparently pretty dramatic, ambulance, police, the works. By the next morning, word had spread around the office about what happened. So picture this. Everyone at work knows I got seriously injured. They're sending flowers and well wishes, and then they see my girlfriend's Instagram showing her partying that same night with captions about priorities. I had surgery the next morning. Dave stayed the whole time. Jasmine never showed up, didn't even text. She finally texted me the next afternoon. "Hey, hope the surgery went okay. Jessica's party was crazy lol. When are you coming home?" That's when it hit me. I started thinking about other times she'd done this. When I graduated with my MBA 2 years ago, She skipped my graduation dinner because her friend group had planned a wine tasting. When my grandfather died last year, she came to the funeral but left early because her college roommate was in town. There's always been someone else's priority that came before supporting me at important moments. I'm still in the hospital now, day 3 post-surgery, and I keep asking myself this question over and over again. If you can't show up when your partner is literally in the emergency room, when exactly will you show up? Dave's been a rock through this whole thing. He's taking time off work to help me when I get discharged. Meanwhile, Jasmine has visited exactly once for about 20 minutes, spent most of it on her phone, and complained that the parking garage was expensive. Reddit, I need some perspective. Am I overreacting? Is this relationship salvageable, or am I finally seeing her true colors? Edit. Thanks for all the responses so far. Someone asked about the Instagram post. Yeah, it's still up. Several coworkers have seen it, and the timing is not good for her reputation around the office. Update 1. Jesus Christ, I wasn't expecting that response. Thank you to everyone who commented. It really helped me see this situation clearly. So I got out of the hospital 3 days ago. Jasmine picked me up, but spent the whole car ride complaining about having to leave work early and how the hospital parking fees were adding up. Not once did she ask how I was feeling or if I needed anything. The first 2 days home were enlightening. I'm on crutches, can barely get around, and need help with basic stuff. Jasmine's version of taking care of me was leaving a sandwich on the counter and telling me she was going out with friends because being cooped up is bad for her mental health. But the real wake-up call came yesterday. I'd been doing a lot of thinking while laid up, and I started really looking at our relationship patterns. You guys were right, this wasn't a one-off thing. So I did something I probably should have done years ago. I made a list. Times Jasmine wasn't there when it mattered. My MBA graduation dinner, chose wine tasting with friends. My grandfather's funeral, left early for college roommate visit. My job interview for this current position, chose brunch with her sister. Now this accident. Times I dropped everything for her. Drove 4 hours to get her when her car broke down. Skipped my cousin's wedding to comfort her during a friend breakup. Left a work conference early when she had a panic attack. The pattern was so clear it actually hurt to look at. But wait, it gets better. Yesterday, my coworker James stopped by with some work documents I needed to sign. He's usually pretty professional, but he seemed uncomfortable about something. Finally, he just said, "Dude, I don't know if I should tell you this, but people around the office are talking." Turns out, Jasmine's Instagram post from the night of my accident has been making rounds at work. The timestamp shows she posted it around midnight, right after I called her from the hospital. Someone screenshot it before she could delete it. The caption about priorities, while I was getting emergency surgery, is not playing well with my colleagues or our mutual friends. James told me the reaction has been pretty universal. People were genuinely shocked. The guys in the office are calling it ruthless and ice cold. The women are even harsher. Apparently Lisa from accounting said, "I wouldn't even treat my ex like that, let alone my current boyfriend." Even people who barely know Jasmine are talking about it. But here's the kicker, Jasmine has no idea people know. She thinks she's been subtle about it, or she simply doesn't see anything wrong with what she did to realize how it looks to others. She even had the audacity yesterday to say, "I think people at your work don't like me. They're being weird when I stop by." Last night, I made my decision. I called my buddy Dave, who's been an absolute legend through this whole thing, and asked if he could help me move out this weekend. I can't do heavy lifting, obviously, but I can pack and supervise. Dave instantly agreed to take the day off work and come over to help. I haven't told Jasmine yet. I've been pretending everything's normal while I get my ducks in a row. Found a small one-bedroom apartment across town that allows short-term leases. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. I'm planning to leave Saturday while she's at her weekly yoga class. I'll pack what I can. She'll come back to a half-empty house and a single note I leave on the kitchen counter. I keep second-guessing myself, though. Part of me wonders if I should try to talk it out first, see if she can change. But then I remember lying in that hospital bed, calling the person I loved most, and being told that bottle service at a birthday party was more important than being there for me. Dave says something that stuck with me. Bro, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. She's shown you multiple times. How much longer are you planning to put up with this? I think he's right. I think I've been making excuses for her for 2 years because I wanted her to be someone she's not. The hardest part is that I do love her, but I'm starting to understand there's a difference between loving someone and being loved back. I've been doing all the loving in this relationship. I'll update you guys after I move out. Wish me luck. Update 2. Holy shit, you guys. I wasn't prepared for what happened after I moved out. So Saturday went according to plan. Dave and 2 other friends helped me pack and move while Jasmine was at yoga. I took only what was absolutely mine, being extra careful not to mix up anything that belonged to her. My leg was still pretty messed up, so I mostly sat in a chair and directed traffic while they did the heavy lifting. We got all my stuff out in about 3 hours. I left the note on the kitchen counter where she'd see it immediately, kept it simple. Jasmine, I needed you once, really needed you, and you chose someone else. That tells me everything I need to know about our relationship and what I mean to you. I hope Jessica's birthday was worth it. Please don't contact me, Mike. Then I turned off my phone and went to my new place. I turned my phone back on Sunday morning to 47 missed calls and 23 text messages, all from Jasmine. The first few texts were confused. Where are you? Your stuff is gone. What's happening? Then shifted to angry real quick once she discovered the note. Are you seriously doing this over one mistake? You're being ridiculous. Then defensive. I had no idea it was that serious. You sounded fine on the phone. Then manipulative. I was scared of hospitals, you know I don't handle blood well. Then desperate. Please call me back. We can work this out. And finally, what I was waiting for, victim mode. I can't believe you're abandoning me like this. You're just like every other guy. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I blocked her number. But blocking her number didn't stop the drama. Sunday night, my friend Cody, who's friends with both of us, called me. Apparently Jasmine had shown up at his apartment crying, asking if he'd seen me. She told him I disappeared over a little disagreement and was trying to get him to convince me to come back. Cody is a good friend, he said. Jasmine, the whole friend group knows what happened. Mike got hit by a car and you chose a party. That didn't seem like a little disagreement. Not to anyone but you. According to Cody, she just stood there for a minute and then said, "It wasn't like that," and left. Monday morning, the real shitshow started. I'm working from home this week because of my leg, but I was on a video call with my team when my phone started blowing up. Group texts, Instagram DMs, even LinkedIn messages. Apparently, Jasmine had spent Sunday night and Monday morning doing damage control. She'd been calling mutual friends with her version of events. I was emotionally manipulative. I was punishing her for having a social life. And my personal favorite, I was controlling and couldn't handle her independence. The problem? Multiple people from my office had already heard the real story, and that Instagram post was still screenshot and circulating. Jasmine was clearly panicking. According to Cody, she'd been doing a full court press on damage control, calling people multiple times, showing up unannounced at friends' places, even trying to get mutual acquaintances to talk sense into Mike. But the more desperate she seemed, the worse it looked. People started avoiding her calls entirely. By Monday evening, her narrative was falling apart. Jessica, yes, birthday girl Jessica, actually reached out to me directly. She said Jasmine never told her about my accident during the party, and if she'd known, she would have told Jasmine to leave immediately. No birthday party is worth that, Jessica said. I'm actually kind of horrified she used my party as an excuse. The social fallout was getting worse for her too. Cody told me that their usual friend group chat had gone quiet whenever Jasmine posted, and she'd been noticeably left out of a few weekend plans. Jasmine was apparently getting paranoid about it, asking people if they were mad at her for some reason, and getting increasingly defensive when no one would give her straight answers. Tuesday was even better. Remember how I mentioned people at work were talking? Well, apparently someone had shared the story, without names, on a company Slack channel as a "what would you do" scenario. The universal response was shock and disgust. When people started putting two and two together about who the story was actually about, Jasmine's reputation at her own job started taking hits too. We work for companies that do business together, so there's some crossover in our professional networks. Apparently, word got back to her office through a mutual client. Her boss's assistant, who knows people at my company, heard the whole story and it spread from there. I'm told people at Jasmine's work are now giving her the cold shoulder, especially the women. Someone mentioned that she got excluded from a girls' lunch this week, something that never happened before. Wednesday, Jasmine showed up at my new apartment. I saw her through the window and almost didn't answer the door, but I figured I'd have to deal with this eventually. She looked awful, like she hadn't slept in days. First thing she said was, "We need to talk." I stayed in the doorway, didn't invite her in. "There's nothing to talk about, Jasmine. That night, I made a mistake. I was drunk and I panicked and I didn't understand how serious it was. You hung up on me when I told you I was in the hospital. I know, but I can change. I'll be better." Here's what got me. She was crying, but it felt performative. Like she was crying because she was supposed to, not because she actually understood what she'd done. I said, "Jasmine, when is the last time you asked me how I'm feeling? Physically, emotionally, anything?" She opened her mouth and then closed it. She literally couldn't answer. "I have 3 broken ribs and a fractured leg. I'll be in physical therapy for months. I can barely sleep because of the pain. And in the 2 weeks since this happened, you've never once asked me how I'm dealing with it. Even now, standing here, you haven't asked." She started crying harder, but I was done. "You taught me something important, Jasmine. You taught me the difference between someone who loves you and someone who's just comfortable with you being around. I hope it was a good lesson for both of us." I closed the door. She stood outside for maybe 10 minutes, sometimes knocking softly, sometimes just standing there. Eventually she left. I haven't heard from her since. The crazy thing is, I feel lighter. Like I'd been carrying around this weight I didn't even realize was there. Dave came over last night with pizza and we just hung out like old times. He said I seem more like myself than I have in years. I start physical therapy Monday. Work has been incredibly supportive. I've got a good friend group that has my back. My new apartment is small, but it's peaceful. I keep thinking about what would have happened if I'd stayed. If I'd accepted her apology and tried to make it work. Would she have changed, or would I have just taught her that she could treat me like an afterthought and I'd always come back? I think I know the answer. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. You guys helped me see clearly when I needed it most. Edit. Someone asked about the Instagram post. She finally deleted it, but the internet is forever. Several mutual friends had already screenshot it before she took it down. Final update. I thought I was done with updates, but Jasmine showed up at my apartment again yesterday, and I think you guys deserve to know how this ended. It's been almost a week since our last conversation. I've been doing well, physical therapy is helping, work is good, and I've been reconnecting with friends I'd kind of lost touch with while I was with Jasmine. Dave pointed out that I'd become pretty isolated from my friend group, which I hadn't really noticed until now. Yesterday around 6 p.m., there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Jasmine standing there with what looked like a care package, one of those fancy gift baskets with snacks and tea and stuff. Part of me wanted to just not answer, but I figured ignoring her forever wasn't sustainable if we were going to run in the same social circles. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "I brought you something," she said, holding up the basket, "for your recovery." "That's thoughtful," I said flatly, "but I don't need anything." "Mike, please," she looked desperate, "can we just talk? 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I let her come in. She sat on my couch and I stayed standing, partly because sitting down with my leg still hurts, but mostly because I didn't want this to feel comfortable or casual. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she started, "and I realize I haven't been a good partner to you." I didn't say anything. I talked to my therapist about what happened, and she helped me see that I have this pattern of putting other people first because I'm afraid of confrontation. Like I was afraid if I left Jessica's party, she'd be mad at me. So you were more afraid of Jessica being mad than me being hurt. She was quiet for a minute. When you put it like that, yes. And that's messed up, I know that now. I sat down across from her. Jasmine, do you remember what you said when I called you from the hospital? I, I was drunk and panicked, and you told me to sleep it off or call my mom. I was calling you because I was scared and hurt, and I needed the person I loved to be there with me before a surgery. And instead, you told me to just sleep it off like it was just some random headache. She started crying again, but this time it felt different, more real maybe. I know, I replay that conversation every day. I hate myself for it. I don't want you to hate yourself. I shook my head, but I also can't be in a relationship where I come second to everyone else in your life. You don't. You're the most important. Name one time in the past year where you chose me over someone else when it mattered. She opened her mouth and then closed it. Same thing that happened last week. I can name a dozen times I chose you, I said. I chose you over family events, work opportunities, friendships, but I can't think of a single time you did the same for me. She was really crying now. I can change, I can be better. Maybe you can, but not with me. What does that mean? I took a deep breath. It means I think you need to learn how to prioritize the people you care about, and I can't be your practice dummy while you figure it out. I deserve to be with someone who already knows that when I call from a hospital, they drop everything and come, not someone who needs to learn that lesson. So that's it, 2 years together and you're just done. Yeah, I'm done. She sat there for a few more minutes, crying quietly. Then she said something that actually surprised me. You're right about all of it. I do put other people first because it's easier than disappointing them. And I took you for granted because I knew you'd always forgive me. She looked up at me. I'm really sorry, Mike, for who I was to you. That was the first apology that felt genuine. I appreciate you saying that, I said. I really do. She stood up to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth, I hope someday you can forgive me, not for my sake, but for yours. After she left, I sat in my apartment for a long time thinking about that last conversation. There was something different about her, like she finally understood what she'd done instead of just being upset about the consequences. Dave came over later and asked how I felt about it. Sad, I said, but not regretful. And that's the truth. I'm sad that 2 years ended this way. I'm sad that she had to lose me to understand how she'd been treating me and learn her lesson, but I'm not regretful about leaving. My ribs are healing. My leg is getting stronger. I start a new project at work next week. Dave and I are planning a guys' weekend next month when I'm fully mobile again. I'm good. Really, genuinely good. Thanks for following this journey with me, Reddit. You guys helped me find my backbone when I needed it most.
My girlfriend forced me to choose a beach house and my inheritance. So, I chose to end the relationship instead. I'm 34 years old. The past few months have been a whirlwind of revelations, betrayals, and tough decisions. But I need to share this story, if only to help process everything that happened. For 3 years, Nikki and I built what I thought was a solid relationship. We moved in together after a year of dating, sharing a comfortable apartment and what seemed like a genuine connection. We had the same taste in obscure indie movies, could spend hours discussing true crime podcasts, and loved trying out new recipes together on lazy Sundays. Our friends called us the perfect match. I really thought we were. Then came the inheritance. My grandfather passed away last year, leaving me with what he'd built through decades of careful investing. We're talking about the kind of money that could set someone up for life if managed properly. When the executor of the estate first told me the amount, I had to sit down. It wasn't just money, it was responsibility, opportunity, and as I'd soon learn, a powerful lens through which to view relationships. I kept the inheritance to myself initially, not out of distrust, but because I needed time to process everything, both emotionally and practically. My grandfather had been more than just family. He was my mentor and friend. My grandfather had left detailed letters explaining his investment philosophy and hopes for how the money would be used. This isn't just money, he'd written. It's opportunity and responsibility wrapped together. Use it to build a stable foundation, not a showy mansion. Those words would prove prophetic in ways I couldn't have imagined. Looking back, I should have noticed the first red flags when I finally told Nikki. We were having dinner at home. I carefully explained about the inheritance and my plans for it. The shift in her expression was subtle, but unmistakable. Her eyes took on a calculating gleam that I'd never seen before. "Baby, this is amazing," she exclaimed, but something in her tone felt off. "We should celebrate. Maybe we could take that trip to the Maldives we always talked about." We had never talked about the Maldives. The changes in her behavior started small. She began casually leaving tabs open on our shared laptop to luxury car websites. Her Instagram follows suddenly included high-end real estate accounts and luxury lifestyle bloggers. She started talking about our future with increasing frequency, but these conversations always seemed to circle back to expensive purchases. Then came the beach house obsession. It started innocently enough. Sarah's boyfriend just bought them the cutest beach house in the Hamptons, she mentioned one evening, scrolling through her phone. "Look at these views." The house she showed me was listed at $3.2 million. I explained my position clearly. While the inheritance was substantial, I wanted to be smart about it. My plan was to invest the majority, perhaps buy a reasonable primary residence, and ensure long-term financial security. A multi-million-dollar vacation home wasn't part of that equation. That's when I started noticing more concerning behaviors. She'd leave her laptop open to accidentally display beach house listings. Our mutual friends would casually mention how they'd heard we were house hunting. She even started a Pinterest board titled Our Beach House Dreams and shared it with her entire family. My first concrete step toward protecting myself came after I noticed unusual activity in our joint account. Small at first, increased shopping trips, unexplained withdrawals for girls' nights that seemed to happen more frequently. I started keeping detailed records of all transactions and set up alerts for any activity over $500. The real wake-up call came when I overheard her on the phone with her sister. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, but as I approached our bedroom to grab my charger, her words stopped me cold. "He's just being stubborn about the beach house. Once we're married, it won't matter. I'll have access to everything anyway. His grandfather left him millions, Sarah, millions. He's just being selfish, not wanting to share it." That night, I contacted a lawyer and began documenting everything. I installed a call recording app on my phone, checking first that we were in a one-party consent state. I started backing up all our text conversations and emails. I even began keeping a detailed journal of all our interactions regarding money. Each day seemed to bring new revelations as I began paying closer attention to Nikki's behavior. I created a secure cloud folder to organize all the evidence, categorizing everything meticulously. As the folder grew, so did my understanding of just how calculated her actions had become. The evidence gathered quickly, painting a disturbing picture of manipulation and entitlement. A growing collection of screenshots from her social media posts, starting with subtle hints about engagement rings and evolving into full-blown wedding planning posts, complete with venue details and dates, all without any actual proposal or agreement from me. Over 30 recordings of conversations where she either admitted to or attempted to justify making financial decisions without my consent, including several where she openly discussed her plans to access my inheritance once we were married. A detailed log of her escalating demands and manipulation tactics, with dates, times, and specific quotes that showed the progression from subtle hints to outright threats. Dozens of emails she'd sent to real estate agents, in which she claimed to represent both of us, and even forged my digital signature on viewing requests and information forms. A comprehensive spreadsheet tracking every unauthorized transaction from our joint account, including several attempts to set up automatic payments for wedding vendors I'd never agreed to hire. Text messages she'd sent to friends describing her plans to lock down the inheritance through marriage, which one guilty conscience friend had forwarded to me. Documentation of her attempts to isolate me from friends who expressed concern about her behavior, including screenshots of messages where she'd tried to turn them against me with false accusations. A series of increasingly desperate emails to wedding planners, interior designers, and contractors, all operating under the assumption of access to funds she didn't have records of her secretly meeting with real estate agents during her lunch breaks, which I discovered through credit card statements showing multiple appointments at cafes near high-end property listings. Screenshots of her browser history revealed searches for how to access spouse's inheritance and marriage property rights when she made that $50,000 deposit from our joint account. I was ready. I had already transferred most of my money out, leaving just enough for regular expenses. Every conversation about it was recorded, every email saved, every text message backed up. The confrontation, when it finally happened, was both exactly what I'd anticipated and somehow still surprising in its intensity. I'd prepared myself mentally for this moment, but nothing quite readies you for watching someone's mask completely slip away. That evening, I'd made sure to have my phone recording and position my laptop to capture video of our shared living space, not out of paranoia, but from a growing understanding of how volatile the situation might become. I'd also asked my friend to be on standby nearby, just in case things escalated. The moment I started putting her suitcases on the bed, Nikki's tactics unfolded like a well-rehearsed play, though I could see the panic behind her eyes as each approach failed. I didn't do anything wrong. How dare you act like I'm some kind of criminal? That deposit was for our future. Don't you want us to have a beautiful life together? You're completely overreacting. This is normal couple behavior. The emotional manipulation came next, complete with carefully timed tears. If you loved me, you'd understand why I did this. I can't believe you're choosing money over our relationship. After everything I've sacrificed for you, what about all the years I stood by you before you had money? As I continued methodically packing her things, sorting her clothes from mine, and carefully documenting everything on my phone's camera, she escalated to threats. I'll tell everyone you promised me the beach house. What will your family think when they hear how you've treated me? You'll never find anyone who loves you like I do. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are. When the threats didn't move me, she attempted false remorse. Baby, please, I'm so sorry. I got carried away. We can work this out. I'll go to therapy. Let me make it up to you. We can look at cheaper properties. I'll sign whatever prenup you want. Just please don't do this. Finally, as she realized none of it was working, she resorted to more aggressive threats. You'll regret this. I'll make sure of it. I know things about you that would ruin your life. You think you could just throw me away? Watch what happens. I'll take you for everything you have. Throughout her performance, I maintained a calm, almost detached demeanor, which only seemed to infuriate her more. I had prepared responses to each of her tactics. The deposit was illegal without my consent. All our conversations about this have been recorded. Please direct any further threats to my lawyer. You have 30 days to remove your remaining belongings. The real shift came when she realized I'd already transferred most of my money out of our joint account. Her face went through a fascinating transformation: shock, rage, then a kind of grudging respect, quickly replaced by pure fury. She'd clearly counted on having access to those funds for longer. When her sister arrived to pick her up, Nikki made one final attempt at manipulation, loudly sobbing about how cruel and controlling I was being. Her sister, however, seemed more embarrassed than sympathetic, especially when I calmly showed her the documentation of the unauthorized $50,000 deposit. I'll get her stuff this weekend, her sister mumbled, practically dragging Nikki to the car. But I was prepared for all of it. When she tried to claim I had promised her the beach house, I had documented evidence proving otherwise. When she threatened to tell people I was financially controlling, I had her own social media posts contradicting her claims. When she tried to argue about the lease, I already had documentation showing I'd been paying 100% of the rent from my personal account. The aftermath of the confrontation stretched over several tension-filled weeks. I had my locks changed the very next morning, installed security cameras at my front and back doors, and made sure my landlord and neighbors were aware of the situation. I also froze my credit and set up alerts for any new accounts opened in my name, a precaution my lawyers strongly recommended given Nikki's access to my personal information. In the days and weeks that followed, She launched a multi-pronged campaign to either regain control of the situation or punish me for ending things. Each attempt was met with the same response. Please direct all communication through my lawyer. The documentation I'd gathered protected me from her accusations and manipulation attempts. The most satisfying moment came during the property division process. She tried to claim she'd contributed equally to our household expenses, but I had maintained perfect records showing otherwise. When she attempted to take items she hadn't paid for, I produced receipts showing they'd been purchased with my personal funds, not our joint account. Looking back, I'm grateful for my grandfather's inheritance, but not for the obvious reasons. Yes, the money will help secure my future, but more importantly, it revealed the true nature of my relationship before I made an even bigger commitment. It showed me who Nikki really was when she thought there was something to gain. The experience taught me valuable lessons about trust, documentation, and the importance of maintaining clear boundaries. I've since invested the inheritance wisely, bought a comfortable but not extravagant home for myself, and am focusing on personal growth. The beach house listings still pop up occasionally in my social media feed, but now they just make me smile, reminders of a bullet dodged and a lesson learned. Sometimes the most valuable thing money can give you isn't what you can buy with it, but what it reveals about the people in your life. In my case, it showed me exactly who I was dealing with and gave me the strength to walk away before it was too late. These days, I'm rebuilding my life on my own terms. The house I bought isn't on the beach, but it's mine, and more importantly, it's filled with peace instead of manipulation. Sometimes the best investment you can make isn't in property or stocks, but in protecting yourself from people who see you as nothing more than a means to an end. As for Nikki, last I heard, she's dating some local entrepreneur, and her Instagram is full of luxury car dealership visits and high-end real estate tours. Some people never change, but thankfully, some of us learn to spot them before it's too late. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them, so please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.
My girlfriend told me to stop bothering her unless she reached out first. So I did. Now she's showing up at my workplace calling me manipulative. I need some perspective here because I honestly don't know if what I'm doing is healthy or if I've just completely lost the plot. My girlfriend Celia and I have been together for about 9 months. The first 4 months were incredible. She was attentive, always texting me good morning, sending me random things that remind her of me, FaceTiming me at night just to talk about nothing. I felt seen, like I mattered to someone who actually wanted to be around me. Then something shifted around month 5. It started small. She'd take longer to respond to texts. When I'd suggest hanging out, she'd say she was busy but wouldn't offer alternative plans. I figured she was stressed with work or needed space, so I backed off a bit. But then it got weirder. She'd post Instagram stories of her out with friends at the exact time she told me she was too tired to see me. When I gently brought it up, she said I was keeping tabs on her and being controlling. That threw me because I genuinely wasn't trying to control anything. I just wanted to understand what was happening between us. About 6 weeks ago, things came to a head. I'd asked if she wanted to grab dinner on Friday, and she didn't respond for 2 days straight. When she finally replied, it was this: "Adrian, I need you to understand something because this is getting really exhausting for me. You're suffocating me with your constant need for attention and validation. I can't breathe in this relationship when you're always asking to see me or texting me expecting immediate responses. It's too much. From now on, I'm going to decide when we spend time together. I'll reach out when I want to talk. You need to stop bothering me unless I initiate contact first. This is what I need to be happy in this relationship, and if you can't respect that, then maybe we need to reconsider things." I read that message probably 10 times trying to figure out if I was missing some context. Was I really that overbearing? I looked back through our texts. In the previous week, I'd sent maybe 5 messages total, all pretty casual stuff. Nothing that screamed desperate or demanding to me, but maybe I was blind to my own behavior. I talked to my buddy Jonah about it. He and his girlfriend Rebecca have been together for like 6 years, so I figured he'd give it to me straight if I was being a stage 5 clinger. He read the messages and just shook his head. Dude, she's playing games. This is some control thing. Rebecca agreed. She said Celia was essentially putting me in a position where I had to wait for permission to exist in my own relationship. It's not about you being needy, Rebecca told me. It's about her wanting to call all the shots and making you feel grateful for whatever scraps of attention she throws your way. That hit different. So here's where I might be the asshole or a genius or both. I decided to take Celia's rules and follow them to the absolute letter. She wanted me to stop initiating. Done. She wanted control over when we talked. She's got it. I turned off all my read receipts. Disabled the last seen feature on WhatsApp. Muted her notifications. Not blocked, just muted. And then I just stopped. No good morning texts. No how was your day messages. No reaching out at all. I didn't even do this to manipulate her or play some reverse psychology game. I genuinely needed to step back and figure out if I even wanted to be in a relationship where I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells, waiting for permission to care about someone. The first few days were rough. I kept picking up my phone out of habit, almost sending her something, then remembering. But instead of sitting around feeling sorry for myself, I started doing other stuff. I hit up Jonah and Rebecca more. Started going to the gym consistently again. Signed up for a woodworking class I'd been eyeing. It's been almost 2 weeks now, radio silence on my end, and her reaction has been unexpected. There's nothing. Complete silence from her too, which honestly validated my suspicion that she wasn't that into me anymore. I think I'm starting to make peace with the idea that we were just done. And I should write Reddit. Edit, wow, did not expect this to get so much attention. To clarify, since people are asking, no, I'm not ghosting her. I'm just not initiating contact exactly like she demanded. If she reaches out, I'm not ignoring her existence. I'm just taking my time, I guess. Update 1. 3 weeks later, so that blew up more than I expected. Thanks for all the perspectives, even the ones calling me petty or passive-aggressive. Couple of people asked for an update, so here's where things are at now. Coincidentally, the very next day after I posted, my phone started blowing up. Messages from none other than Celia. At first, it was just a casual, hey, what's up? I didn't respond for about 6 hours. I was at Jonah and Rebecca's place helping them move some furniture, and honestly I'd gotten pretty good at not checking my phone every 5 minutes. When I finally looked, there were 3 more messages asking why I didn't respond and if I was okay. I responded with something brief. Yeah, I'm good, just been busy. Her reply came back in under a minute. Busy with what? I didn't answer that one, simply because I didn't feel like giving her a play-by-play. The old me would have immediately launched into detail about my day the moment she asked. New me. I'm realizing I don't owe anyone a real-time update on my whereabouts unless I want to share. That's when things started escalating. Over the next few days, her messages became more frequent. Why are you being weird? Did I do something wrong? This is really immature, Adrian. That last one almost made me laugh. The same person who told me I was suffocating her by asking to hang out once a week was now calling me immature for doing exactly what she demanded. But what really struck me was this. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. I was just indifferent. And that scared me a little because it made me realize how checked out I'd already become without fully admitting it to myself. Jonah and Rebecca had me over for dinner last week. Rebecca asked how I was handling everything, and I told her honestly I felt lighter. Like I'd been carrying this weight of constantly wondering if I was doing something wrong, if I was too much, if I wasn't enough. And now that weight was gone. That's not what love is supposed to feel like, Rebecca said. And she was right. Around the 2-week mark, Celia started calling. Not texting, actual phone calls. I'd see her name pop up and feel this weird mix of curiosity and exhaustion. I answered one of them, mainly because I figured we needed to actually talk at some point. Where have you been? She demanded, no hello or anything. Around, I said. Work's been busy, been doing some stuff with friends. You're really just going to act like everything's fine, Like you haven't been completely ignoring me. You told me not to bother you unless you reached out first, I reminded her calmly. That's what I've been doing. There was this long pause, then she went full on defensive. I didn't mean you should disappear completely. You're taking this too literally. You know I didn't mean it like that. But she did mean it like that. We both knew that. She meant every word when she sent that message. She just didn't expect me to actually respect her boundaries, or maybe she didn't expect that respecting those boundaries would mean I'd start building a life that didn't revolve around waiting for her approval. I don't know what you want me to say, Celia. You set the terms. I'm following them. She tried a different angle. But I miss you. Don't you miss me? Honest answer. Not really. I missed the version of her from the first few months, but that person seemed gone. What I didn't miss was the constant anxiety, the second guessing, the feeling like I was always one text away from being too much. I told her I needed more time to think about things. She didn't like that answer, so she decided to just ignore it. The calls started coming at weirder times. Late night, sometimes past midnight. I didn't answer those. Just put my phone on Do Not Disturb mode. Then she started leaving voicemails, some apologetic, some accusatory, some just rambling about how she didn't understand what was happening. Yesterday, Jonah texted me. Dude, Celia just messaged Rebecca asking if you were okay. Said she's worried you might have been in an accident or something because you're not acting like yourself. Rebecca apparently told her I was fine, and that maybe Celia should give me space if she actually cared about my well-being. I appreciated that, but it also made me realize how far this had spiraled. I'm not playing games here. I genuinely stepped back to figure out what I want, and what I'm discovering is that I want a relationship where I don't feel like I'm constantly auditioning for the role of boyfriend, where I don't need permission to care about someone, where I miss you isn't a negotiating tactic but an actual feeling shared between two people who enjoy being around each other. The irony isn't lost on me that the moment I stopped chasing, she started running after me. But I don't want someone who only wants me when they think they might lose me. That's not love. That's ownership. Some of you in the comments last time said I should just end it cleanly. You're probably right. I think I've been avoiding that conversation because some part of me keeps hoping she'll suddenly get it, that we'll have this breakthrough moment where she realizes what she's been doing and we can start over. But that's not realistic, is it? People don't just fundamentally change because you stop responding to their texts. I think I'm prolonging this unnecessarily. I really need to have an actual conversation and end this properly rather than just existing in this limbo. Edit. For everyone asking, no, we weren't living together. We both have our own places, which honestly has made this whole thing easier. Update 2. The office incident. I really wish I didn't have to make this update, but things have officially gone off the rails. First off, I want to address something from the last post's comments. A lot of you said I needed to just rip the band-aid off and officially end things instead of letting it drag out. You were absolutely right, and I was planning to do exactly that this weekend. Had the whole conversation mapped out in my head, was going to suggest we meet somewhere public and neutral, the whole deal. Celia beat me to it. Sort of. So yesterday, Thursday, I was at work in the middle of a meeting with my team about a project deadline. My phone was on silent in my bag. Meeting went long, run about 2 hours. When I finally checked my phone around 2:30, I had 11 missed calls from Celia and a string of increasingly frantic texts. The messages started normal enough. Hey, can we talk? Then about 15 minutes later, Adrian, please, I need to talk to you. Then they got progressively more urgent. This is serious. Why aren't you answering? I'm really scared right now. Fine, if you won't respond, I guess I'll have to come find you. That last one was sent at 2:15. I was reading those messages thinking surely she didn't mean what I thought she meant, right? And then Kelly from reception was suddenly at my desk. Adrian, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent. My stomach dropped. I walked out to the reception area and there was Celia, dressed up like she got somewhere important to be, looking anxious but also determined. Our office has an open layout, so the reception desk is basically just at the front of our workspace. Kelly looked thoroughly confused, and I could see a couple of my coworkers at nearby desks pretending not to stare. Celia, what are you doing here? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. You wouldn't answer your phone, she said, like that explained showing up at my workplace unannounced. We need to talk. I was in a meeting, you can't just show up at my job. Well, you left me no choice, she snapped. You've been avoiding me for weeks, ignoring my calls, acting like I don't exist. What was I supposed to do? I was acutely aware that we were having this conversation in my office lobby, that everyone was absolutely going to talk about this, that my boss might walk through at any moment. I felt this flash of anger, not the hot, explosive kind, but this cold, clear realization that this was exactly the kind of boundary violation I should have seen coming. Let's go outside, I said quietly. To my surprise, she actually listened this time. Or else I might have to drag her out myself. We walked to the parking lot, and the second we were out of earshot of the building, she started in. You're punishing me. That's what this is. You're trying to manipulate me by doing this whole silent treatment thing, making me chase after you, making me look crazy. I'm not doing any of that, I interrupted. You told me to stop initiating contact. I did exactly what you asked. But not like this. I could see her getting frustrated in real time. Not disappearing completely. You know that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Celia? Because from where I'm standing, I followed your instructions to the letter. You wanted control over when we talked, when we saw each other. I gave you that control. And now you're mad because I'm not playing the game the way you wanted. That shut her up for a second. And I could see her trying to figure out what angle to take. Then her eyes got watery, fast. I just miss you. Is that so wrong? I miss my boyfriend and I wanted to see you, and you're making me feel like I'm being unreasonable for that. And that was where something in me just cracked. I couldn't do this. I couldn't stand here and watch her try to use tears to manipulate me. This relationship needed to end. I don't want to do this anymore, I said. The words came out calmer than I felt. This, whatever this is, it's not working for me. She stared at me like I'd just slapped her across the face. So you're breaking up with me, in a parking lot, after ignoring me for weeks? Yes, I'm ending a relationship that stopped being a relationship a long time ago. You wanted me on your terms, available when convenient, gone when not. That's not a partnership, Celia, I don't even know what that is, but it's not what I want. She switched tactics again, got angry. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're being controlling. You can't handle that I needed some space, so you're turning it around on me, making me the bad guy. I'm not making you anything, I said, and I was surprised by how tired I sounded. I'm just done. I'm done feeling like I have to apologize for existing in your life. Done waiting for permission to care about someone who supposedly cares about me. Done with whatever mind game this has become. You can't just end this without even trying. I did try. I tried for months. And then I gave you exactly what you said you wanted, and that wasn't right either. So what am I supposed to do? What version of me would be acceptable to you? She didn't have an answer for that. I told her I needed to get back to work. She stood there looking stunned, like she genuinely couldn't process that this was happening. As I walked away, she called after me, "You're going to regret this. You're going to realize what you gave up." I didn't respond. I didn't even look back. Maybe she's right. Maybe in a few weeks or months I'll look back and think I made a mistake. But right now, I feel like I can breathe properly for the first time in months. When I got back inside, Kelly very diplomatically didn't say anything, but I could feel the curious looks. I sent a quick message to my manager giving her a heads up that there'd been a personal matter that had been resolved, just in case it became office gossip. Jonah called me that evening. Apparently Celia had messaged Rebecca again, some long rant about how I'd humiliated her and was clearly seeing someone else, and that's why I'd been distant, that she needed Rebecca and Jonah to help her find out who. Rebecca shut that down pretty quickly, told her to leave both of them out of it. "How are you doing, man?" Jonah asked. I thought about it. Honestly, relieved. Also kind of pissed that she showed up at my work. But mostly relieved. That took guts, doing it face to face like that. Didn't really have a choice. She forced the conversation. "Yeah, but you didn't cave. A lot of people would've." I hadn't thought about it like that. I guess I could have let her talk me into circles, let her convince me that I was the one being unreasonable, let the guilt pull me back in. Old me probably would have. New me. I'm learning that walking away from something that hurts isn't giving up. Sometimes it's the only way to win. Edit. Thanks for all the support. And yeah, I'm definitely going to give HR a heads up tomorrow morning just to document it, in case she tries anything else. Several of you suggested that in the comments, and you're right that I should protect myself. And no, I'm not worried about her showing up at my apartment. Building has security and she's never had a key, but I appreciate the concern. Final update. 3 months later, time for what I hope is the last update on this whole situation. First things first. Celia and I have had zero contact since the parking lot conversation. She tried a couple times in the week after, a few texts that I didn't respond to, one email that I deleted without reading. Then nothing for about 2 weeks. Then the social media campaign started. She didn't name me directly, but anyone who knew us could tell. Vague posts about narcissists who use silence as a weapon and emotional abuse disguised as boundaries. A couple of Instagram stories with her crying, talking about healing from toxic relationships. Rebecca sent me screenshots because she was concerned Celia might escalate. The really wild part is what happened with some of our friend group. Turns out, Celia had been telling them a completely different version of our relationship for months. She'd been portraying me as this needy, jealous boyfriend who couldn't handle her having her own life. When Rebecca confronted her about the contradictions, Celia doubled down and said I'd manipulated them into taking my side. Rebecca told me the conversation got intense. Celia apparently said she couldn't believe they'd choose a man over female solidarity, and that by staying friends with me, they were enabling abuse. When Rebecca pointed out that Celia had literally told me not to contact her and then got angry when I didn't, Celia's response was, he should have known I didn't mean it like that. They don't talk to her anymore. I didn't ask them to do that. They made that choice themselves after she tried to make them choose with that ultimatum. About 6 weeks after the breakup, I heard through another mutual friend that Celia had started dating someone new. Some guy she met at a bar. My friend seemed uncomfortable telling me like he thought I'd be upset. I wasn't. I was mostly concerned for the guy. 2 weeks ago, I heard that they'd already broken up. Apparently it followed a similar pattern. She was super intense at first, then suddenly cold, then accused him of being controlling when he asked why she'd changed. The guy apparently ended it after 3 weeks. And again, Celia told everyone the guy was emotionally unstable and she'd dodged a bullet. That's when it really hit me that this wasn't about me at all. This is who she is. This is what she does. And I'm just grateful I got out when I did instead of wasting more years trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. But enough about her. Here's what's actually important. I'm doing really well. Like, genuinely well. Not in that fake, I'm so much better off, way people say after breakups when they're clearly still hurt. I mean I wake up in the morning and don't immediately check my phone with anxiety. I make plans without worrying if I'm being too clingy by wanting to exist. I'm just living. Been spending more time with Jonah and Rebecca. We do game nights most Fridays now, just the 3 of us or sometimes with a few other people. It's nice having friends who don't make everything a drama, who check in because they care, not because they want gossip or to pick sides. I even started dating again, very casually. Nothing serious yet, and I'm not rushing it. But I went on a few dates with someone I met through the woodworking class, and the difference in how it felt versus my relationship with Celia was stark. We texted each other because we wanted to, not because one person demanded it or the other felt obligated. We made plans and both showed up enthusiastically. Basic stuff that should be normal but felt revolutionary after 9 months of walking on eggshells. That didn't turn into anything long-term, but it reminded me what I should be looking for. Someone who doesn't see my interest in them as a burden. Someone who wants to be around me as much as I want to be around them. Some of you warned me in the comments that she'd try to come back eventually, that people like her always do. You were right. She sent me a message about a month ago. It was long, rambling thing about how she'd been doing a lot of therapy and realized she had attachment issues, that she realized she'd made mistakes and wanted to talk about what went wrong and hoped I'd give her another chance. The whole thing felt performative, like she was saying what she thought she should say rather than actually meaning it. And honestly, based on what I heard about her new ex-boyfriend, I don't think she learned anything at all. I didn't respond. Not to be cruel, but because there's nothing left to say. That chapter is closed. My life is smaller now in some ways. Lost some friends who were really Celia's friends. Don't go to certain places we used to go together. But it's also bigger in the ways that matter. I have more time, more energy, more peace. I laugh more. I sleep better. I'm building things with my hands and playing guitar again and just existing without needing someone's permission. Thanks to everyone who commented on my original posts. I'm doing good. I'm going to keep doing good.